Hi, this is Dave Lubnick. Thank you for joining. We'll get started in 5 minutes. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We'll get started in 2 minutes. Thank you everyone for joining. My name is Dave Lubnick, and this is the webinar on YCharts. Appreciate everyone's time this afternoon. I look forward to telling you a little bit more about YCharts, showing you some of the functionality in YCharts, and talking about the relationship that we've had with TradePMR for a number of years. With YCharts, we are a web-based investment research tool, very popular with advisors, and have had a great relationship with TradePMR for over 4 years. Attend the annual conference in May, which is back in Florida, and look forward to hopefully seeing everyone at that conference. Touching a little bit more on the functionality of YCharts and the platform, how some of your peers are benefiting from YCharts, and also talk about some of the new functionality in YCharts, which has been released over the last few months and which has been very widely received. Questions can be submitted through the chat functionality of GoToWebinar, and you certainly can reach out to me afterwards at dave@ycharts.com with any additional questions, or if you're interested in a one-on-one demonstration of the tool. Let's get started now with YCharts. So YCharts has been around for about 9 years. We're headquartered out of Chicago with an office in New York as well. We are primarily a website, which is very easy to access and easy to use, and we are focused exclusively on building a tool that meets the needs of advisors like yourself. Within YCharts, you'll find data on stocks, ETFs, mutual funds, indices, economic data, closed-end funds, pretty much all the asset classes that advisors are interested in, and then we have powerful tools built on top of that data. I'll go through 6 main use cases that we see advisors using YCharts, and then of course at the end take questions on any specific functionality. So the first major use case that we see advisors using within YCharts is going to be idea generation, the concept of screening for new investment ideas that meet the criteria that you as the advisor set. To accomplish this, within the YCharts website, we have both a equity screener as well as a fund screener. They look and feel the same. The difference is that obviously it's the types of securities as well as the types of metrics. So with mutual funds and ETFs, we've got about 400 metrics for every fund. We get this information right from Morningstar, so it's all highly reputable and the information that you might be used to seeing. But what we're doing is we're allowing you as the advisor to set the criteria as well as then a ranking system to narrow down the universe. The stocks are very similar. I won't touch on those today, but it's about 4,000 metrics with 30 years of history. So if you like picking stocks, this stock screener is probably the best one out there that we've seen, and it's going to be a great tool for you to help identify securities. Within the fund screener, we've got just a few buttons, the ability to filter down by, for example, Morningstar categories, share class, fund family, types of funds, whether it's mutual funds or ETFs, brokerage availability, and so forth. We also have the ability to filter based on those 400 metrics. So this could be things like expense ratio, allocation to Japan or technology or any other type of sector, market cap, geography, certainly returns, fund flows, expense ratio. All that's here and available to filter on. And with YCharts, it's as easy as starting to type in here and having an autocomplete to find the metric that you're looking for. Filtering is nice because it's available not just to filter on an absolute number, but also on a relative basis using some percentile ranking as well. For the sake of time, I just want to open up a saved screen that I have here. And what I want to show you is what we can do with the results, because this is really where some of the power lies. And specifically, it's through the scoring models button. So what this allows us to do is to sort the 54 results based on the criteria that we set. And when I say we, I mean you as the advisor. So you get to choose what's important to you, what metrics, what weighting you want to assign to them. And with that aggregate ranking, we now can stack rank all the results here to see which funds might be most attractive. And again, this is very similar to both ETFs as well as stocks. From here, what a lot of folks like to do is the second use case of YCharts, which is the actual analytics. So this is where we might use the search box at the top to look up a particular security, or I could simply have clicked on a ticker below, and this will take me to the home page for a mutual fund. A lot of great information here, right here on this page, all from Morningstar, total return chart, key stats, Morningstar category returns and ranks, breakdowns by asset allocation, geography, sector, market cap, etc., fund flows, fundamental information, risk metrics, and general information on the fund. Pretty much everything that somebody's looking for. We also have these one-page reports, which are updated daily, and they exist for every security in YCharts. This is just a nice, clean, one-page PDF that somebody can pull up here on that security, and then they could attach this or print this or do whatever they'd like with it. Within this fund, the charting is obviously very popular, as the name YCharts would imply. Within the charting, there's a lot of customization here. You certainly can max out the time frame. So in this case, this fund goes all the way back to 1965. I can overlay an index on here. I can overlay an ETF on here. I can even overlay an individual stock on here. So we have the ability to look at price return or total return for all of these different securities over any time frame. You can even customize the start date and the end date. So a lot of functionality here. And then the fact that we can export this image with one click of a button, and that can be exported any number of ways. It could be printed, of course. It could also be saved as a PNG file with your logo on there automatically, with a title on there. It can be embedded into a website or a blog, or it could be shared on Twitter or StockTwits. And this is very popular, as a lot of advisors are doing client communication, marketing, newsletters, social media, etc. And the use case here with the charting is not just relevant for securities, but it's also relevant for economic data. We have over 300,000 economic indicators in YCharts, a global data set. It's as easy as typing in what you might be looking for. So for example, the word housing, come down to the economic section and I can choose something like housing starts. All this economic data comes right from the provider, in this case, the Census Bureau. And I can maximize this data to go back very far in history. So in the case of housing starts all the way back to the 1950s. You can then overlay other items on here. So for example, maybe a 30-year mortgage rate, and then export this image. So whether it's exchange rates, commodity prices, treasury rates, housing, GDP, CPI, anything you can think of, it's going to be here in YCharts. The ability to chart it, the ability to export that chart, the ability to export the data to Excel if you'd prefer to look at the numbers, all of that is readily available for you. Now, speaking of Excel, let's jump into that. That is a fourth major use case of YCharts. And this is probably one of the most powerful features of YCharts. Some of you might be familiar with the term Excel add-in. What that means is that we have set up behind the scenes the ability of Excel to speak with YCharts. So these spreadsheets are available. We have about 60 of them to download off the website. And then we have a team in Chicago that will customize them for no additional charge. The beauty here is that you set up the spreadsheet to look and feel exactly the way that you want. So the columns with the metrics that I care about, the layout, and then the way this works is all I have to do is change a ticker. In this case, an A11. And from the time that I hit enter to the time that I receive all of the updated information in this row for the new security is less than a second. So where we see this very powerful is the fact that advisors have told us that they spend hours, sometimes on a weekly basis, manually collecting all this information. This right here will save you all that time, give that back to you, think about what your time is worth and where it could be better spent. The other thing that we see popular with the Excel add-in is the analysis of portfolios. This could be model portfolios. It could also be prospects holdings. So you receive a prospects portfolio, you want to analyze it. We have spreadsheets that are built out where all you have to do is insert the tickers and the shares or the weights or the dollar value. Use YCharts to collect all that information that you want to see on that portfolio now, whether it's risk metrics, expense, income, returns, etc. And then we can aggregate it all together in a nice, friendly PDF output. Common question we get is, how is that different than Morningstar? Well, a couple ways. One, Morningstar doesn't have the customization available to customize those output reports. Two, they don't have this spreadsheet interaction to be able to quickly access all this data. So this functionality within Excel is something that is very popular that the vast majority of our clients are leveraging. Another use case of YCharts is going to be just the day-to-day workflow. So while many of you may not be picking individual securities, we have a dashboard here, and it's going to keep you abreast of market movements, intraday quotes, news, alerts, corporate actions. So the ability to set up watch lists here on mutual funds, on ETFs, on stocks, and be able to look at this and see with flickering every couple minutes here with 2-minute delayed quotes, what sector, for example, did the best today? What sector underperformed today? On a perhaps year-to-date basis, what does that look like? Which sectors are up the most year-to-date, down the most year-to-date? You can customize these metrics, customize the look and feel here for the information that you want readily available at your fingertips. You can set alerts, notify me if any ETF or stock in my watch list is up or down, whatever threshold you set, and you can be notified by it. Notify me if one of the stocks that my clients own, not because I picked it for them, but because they just happen to own that security, is having a corporate action, splits, earnings, dividends, or perhaps the price movements that we talk about. Or maybe just glance over the news on the 10 companies that you have in the watch list because you just want to make sure you're kind of keeping an eye on things. We also have the ability to have watch lists for economic data, so some commodity prices, exchange rates, treasury rates, and so forth, as well as helpful items such as an economic calendar, today's releases, yesterday, as well as the next week or so, and an events calendar, especially helpful going through an earnings season. So that's a lot of the functionality that we've kind of built our house on over the last few years. Now I'd like to talk a little bit more about some of the new functionality that we've released over the last 2 months, which has been very well received. The first thing is what we call model portfolios. This is something that was highly requested. It took about 9 months to build. We went through a 1-month beta testing period with a number of users to refine the product, and we released the first version of it 2 weeks ago. We hosted a webinar last week on this. Perhaps some of you attended that. We had more attendees for that webinar than any other webinar that we've hosted. So clearly, I think we're onto something here, and it's something that is very, very important to advisors. The idea with model portfolios is that right here within the website, you can create a model. It's as easy as coming into here, giving it a name, a rebalancing frequency, enter the securities, the weights, choose maybe a default benchmark, and it'll create it right here in YCharts. You then have a library of the models which you've created, and then from here, you can choose any of these models, and you can start to analyze them. So perhaps it is things like key stats, yield, expense ratio, allocations, looking across risk information, returns, holdings. You also have an allocations tab here. This is helpful to look at things like region exposure, sector exposure, market cap, credit quality, style, and so forth. So nearly every one of those metrics that we were looking at the individual security level, we can look at right here at the model level. And then, of course, there's the charting functionality. So this powerful ability to now use that model as one line on a chart over any time frame you'd like. Again, similar functionality as before, some default time frames, as well as the ability to customize the time frame, and then compare that model to any other security in YCharts. It could be an index, a mutual fund, an ETF, or even another model portfolio. All that's available, easily accessible right here in the model portfolios tool. This is version 1. We're going to be coming out with weekly updates to the tool. And I believe with every weekly update, there's at least going to be a couple new enhancements to this model portfolios because we've got a lot of great feedback that we're incorporating almost real time. And this tool is great right now, but it's going to be even better over the next couple months. Another enhancement to YCharts over the last couple months is something called email reports. Some of you may receive a weekly email from YCharts that we've been distributing for the last couple of years called the Pulse. And we received very positive feedback on that, which prompted us to speak with some advisors and create what we call custom email reports. The idea here is that all of you are very busy, and the collection of information to start your day or start your week can sometimes be difficult. So that's where email reports comes into play. You as the advisor have the ability to customize what you want to receive in your inbox. So first of all, do you want to receive something daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly? And then what do you want to receive? So these are some samples here. For example, you may want to receive an email that talks about what economic indicators were released last week and what's upcoming for the next week. Maybe you want to look at key stocks in each sector. This right here could be just the most popular stocks, or it could be customized for your specific stocks. And you've got this nice color coding with different shades of green and red and columns here for trailing 1 day, 1 month, year to date, and 1 year time frames. And it's organized by sector. We have the same functionality for, of course, ETFs and mutual funds as well. So the idea here is that you can, again, load this with your specific funds and then have the same color coding time frames to look at to quickly digest what's going on with the securities that you care about. And then last but not least is the ability to receive some of the charts that maybe you saved in YCharts. So maybe it's a year-to-date chart that shows 4 indices, and you would just like to receive that once a week to keep an eye on that. These emails are interactive, so you can click on a chart or click on a ticker. It'll open up YCharts. You can go into that, do some additional digging in that regard. So at YCharts, we're very proud of what we've built over the last 9 years. We're very happy to have the great relationship with TradePMR over the last 4+ years. A lot of customers through the TradePMR relationship. What's nice about that is that as a member of TradePMR, everyone is eligible for a 20% discount on YCharts. So our product normally is $4,800 per person per year. That reduces the price to $3,840 per person per year. With YCharts, there's no additional fees to anybody else, no fees to exchanges or news providers or index providers. And there's also no additional charge for new enhancements. So features such as the email reports and the model portfolios, when we come out with those, everybody gets them. And there's also dedicated account support. So you'll have a dedicated account manager to assist you with support, training. There's live chat right directly in the website, and they're available to assist you with all that information, as well as access to assist with the spreadsheets. So we have a couple folks, all they do is assist with spreadsheets and the modification of those for our clients. So with that, I thank everyone for their time. I'll stand by if there are any questions. Again, my name is Dave. The contact information is dave@ycharts.com. We offer a 7-day free trial if anybody's interested in that. We also offer, of course, a one-on-one demonstration. We will be again at the Synergy Conference in May in Florida. Look forward to seeing many of you there. We'll have a booth there. And thank you all for your time. Again, I'll stand by if there are any questions. And just as a reminder, for the questions, you can chat them through the GoToWebinar system. All right, I did just receive one question here around closed-end funds. Yes, we do have closed-end funds. We have closed-end funds as well as UITs in YCharts. One of the nice things that we have with closed-end funds, which folks appreciate, is the discount or premium to NAV. That's chartable as well for the duration of the fund history, which is quite nice. So that is all available here in YCharts. Another question around international coverage. So we have coverage of US and Canadian exchanges. That also does include ADRs. I think there's close to a couple thousand ADRs. So all of that information is in YCharts as well. Question here also, how to get the logo on charts. That's a great question. So to add the logo to the charts, we can either grab it from your website, or you could send us a high resolution logo. We actually put that into your account behind the scenes. And then what's nice is that anytime you export a chart from YCharts, your logo will automatically be there in high quality in the bottom left corner. And that provides a nice kind of branding to the chart with your own logo. And then of course you can use that chart however you'd like. All right, it appears that's all of the questions. Thank you again for everyone's time this afternoon. Again, dave@ycharts.com if there are any additional questions or interest in a trial or a subscription. And thank you again for your time. Have a great afternoon.